I'd like to hear them guys.
Well, you're about to hear you. Shenandoah is our guest as we kick off Honky Tonkin.
Shenandoah in the studio. It's our guest this week. Got Marty and Mike. Marty, Raybon, Mike McGuire. Hello, boys.
Hello. Hey,
it is so good to see you
guys.
Hey,
man, it's good to see you guys again, too. It always is. I'm not kidding you.
Okay, give us something you've never told in an interview about 2 Dozen Roses.
It used to be called 3 Dozen Roses. They changed it to 2.
Yeah, that would definitely be something that was never told because that's not the truth.
Then it became a big hit.
And then he said, well, we're going to make it 2 Dozen Roses. Is it an old bottle of wine?
Older
Bottle of wine. A lot of people don't realize that it's older, not old.
Well, I tell you what. Mike, tell them the story about when we sang at Robert's Wake. You know, Robert Byrne and Mac McAnally wrote the tune. I'll tee it up. Well, I'll tee it up, and you tell the rest of it.
Well, Robert Byrne was one of our record producers back in the day, and Robert had passed away, and Phil Vassar had a wake at his house, and he'd set up a little PA out by his swimming pool and invited a bunch of songwriters that Robert had written songs with over the years. And Mac had sung something that him and Robert had written. And he said, hey, I saw Marty and Mike out there in the crowd. Y'all come up here and we'll do 2 Dozen Roses because the two of them wrote it. And he said, while they're on the way up, I'll tell you guys a story about how this song came to be. He said, me and Marty was walking out of the studio door in Muscle Shoals at Fame Recording Studio where they were recording. And Marty had just in passing said, man, I wish you'd write something I can really sink my teeth into, Robert. Mac, I know you can do that, man, because you know how I sing. He said, I went to bed that night with that thought on my mind, and he said, I always sleep with a voice recorder on my nightstand. He said, but I went to sleep thinking about what Marty said, and he said, I woke up about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and had just dreamed the first verse and chorus of 2 Dozen Roses.
What?
Dream. It was a dream from the good Lord up above. I mean, that's why that song's been a big hit.
Yeah, and he sang it into his recorder.
He sung it into his recorder and then went and played it to Robert the next day, and they wrote the second verse, and we recorded it.
And now
we have this.
And now we have it. And so, yeah, I mean, the good Lord sent that song to us, for all of us.
It's an honor to have Shenandoah in the studio with us, Marty, Raybon, Mike McGuire as well. So back in 1995, you guys, you helped a young girl named Allison Krauss have her first top 40 country hit, and it was this right here.
Somewhere in the vicinity of your heart.
God, I love that song.
Man, when you're around someone who can sing like that, doesn't that just make you go, ooh, wow.
We won a Grammy on that.
Man, just when we were doing the vocal, and we literally were like this. She was on one mic and had a baffle, you know.
And you were looking at each other?
Side. Yes.
You don't see anybody record like that anymore.
No, we did that day, and I tell you, man, she'd hit a note, and I'd get to thinking, man, my goodness sakes alive. I mean, that is unbelievable.
And as Mike said, you guys won a Grammy.
She
did as well.
In fact, that and got Vocal Event of the Year at the CMA the same year as well, too. But even before then, Jimmy Bowen at that time was head of Capitol, and he said, "Look," he said, "fellas, it's about time y'all start, thinking about doing a duet with a female." And of course, everybody started saying, "Well, Patti Loveless, Martina
Dolly.
McBride," and started naming off all these female artists. And I told Bowen, I said, "Look," I said, "Man, there's a gal that I know, because, see, I played bluegrass music all my life, and I said, man, look, there's a gal, and I said, I'm telling you, this gal is absolutely angelic." And I said, man, when you listen to her sing, it's literally unbelievable. And he said, she that good, huh? I said, she's terrific.
It's Grammy worthy.
And said, well, what's her name? I said, Allison Krauss. He goes, Allison Krauss. Said, man. Said, I've been trying to get her to sign to my label. Said, if you can get her on a record, let's get her on a record. And anyway, so I said, well, I don't know if I can get her on a record, but now I'd like to picture the tune, but I'm not going to speak out of turn. I mean, if you can get her to sing the song, we absolutely do her. And I said, now she's not as well known as some of the other names y'all have got on this list. Look, get her on the record. We'll make her popular.
Did you call her? You the one that called her?
Yeah, I'm the one that talked. Well, actually, I went over to Nightingale and spoke with her, and then I gave her the cassette. That folks, That's back when we used to do the old cassette giveaway.
Yeah.
When you'd slip somebody a tune, you wanted them to cut it. But, here's a little old tape.
Nashville handshake.
Anyway, so I gave her the cassette, and I said, I'm going to call you later. Now, listen to it, and you tell me what you think. And she said that Sydney had one as well, too, the Cox family, Sidney Cox. Said, man, if I listen to this, would you listen to one that Sydney wrote? And I said, absolutely. And anyway, so when we talked, she goes, what do you think about the one Sydney wrote? I said, the one Sydney wrote was great. I don't think it beats this one. I said, man, do this song with us, Allison. She said, I'd love to. When are we doing it? I said, we're doing it this afternoon.
Oh, wow.
She said, oh, my goodness. She said, I'm in the studio. I guess I probably need to learn it. I said yeah, because we got a 6 starting at 6. And I'm telling you, that's literally the way that happened.
Shenandoah is our guest this week, and I love these guys so much. Just good people. Give us a little story about I Want to Be Loved Like That.
Man, I tell you, we do it nowadays. And I tell you, probably one of, other than hearing it for the first time and then recording it and then listening to the back play of it when it was finished, the master. And then a few years ago, we got a chance to do a fanfare out at the stadium. And, man, to listen to 60,000 people sing I Want to Be Loved Like That was absolutely unbelievable. I got – and I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I got chills going up my arm, the back of my neck right now thinking about that. I couldn't believe it, man, to listen to those people sing that. And, I mean, it was just – it literally was – it was amazing, to listen. Because, all the people, when we do the shows, they'll sing it. But brother, when you got 60,000 people singing it,
that's a lot of people, man.
So, I mean, that's carrying the mail right there. Now, I mean, I'm telling you that's something else.
Shenandoah in the studio with us this week, our guest. How cool was it when you guys heard this right here?
Softly in the distance, nothing stirs about.
What?
Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan. Man, you guys have so many fans of artist fans.
Isn't that crazy? It's really surreal. I mean,
it really
some of these
is.
big artists like us the way they do.
And I
it.
tell you, the thing that really still really doesn't set too well is when people they use legend and stuff like that, and I certainly don't consider it. Look, we've done it long,
but we do. We consider you guys legends. I mean, I don't want to off-put you, but you guys are, and you deserve it. Like you've done it. And you're still doing it.
We relate to more words like old.
ancient.
Hey, ancient Shenandoah.
Me and Marty's on Medicare now.
It's synonyms, though. It's synonyms, though. Let's just switch old and ancient to legends, because the right word is the definition. And no, you're right, man. I mean, Big D was saying it. These guys grew up listening to you guys. It's the same way that you grew up to your heroes.
And see, that's the way that I still look at it. See, to me, what the legends were a Merle Haggard and a Johnny Paycheck and Tammy Wynette and Jones and stuff like that. Which now look, I understand where they're coming from. I do, because I'll never forget the first times that we got to open for Haggard. The first times we got to open for Jones, the tour that we did in '90 with us and Randy Travis and Tammy Wynette. Me and Tammy Wynette got close. I mean, that because I always loved what she did with George, and I always kept saying, man, Tammy, me and you need to do a duet. We need to find us a duet and do it. We just never found one. I think I found one. The rest of the guys didn't think so, and I was pitched. We were pitched two of a kind working on a Full House.
Yeah, we passed on it.
And I said,
what?
Yeah.
And Tammy goes, said that might be kind of a cool little old thing that we could do. I said, man, that is up to date, Tammy. I'm telling you, we could do that. And then of course.
That would have been
nobody
amazing.
in the band cared for it very much at all.
Can you imagine
that
Marty,
kinda
with
went
you
away.
and Tammy Wynette doing two of a kind working on Full House together? I mean, it would have changed
I'm
history.
sure. I'm sure the
Oh,
song.
I'm
Changed
telling you,
history. It really would have.
And then when Garth cut it, I said, well, look, if it didn't go there, at least everybody's gonna hear it.
That's right.
That's for sure, because they sure enough did.
Shenandoah, our in-studio guest this week. All right, so guys, this is what we do right now. This is called Dealer's Choice. You get to request a song that you want from the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s. It can be your song or it cannot be your song.
But you have to tell us why you pick it.
Okay. I would say either Don't Take the Girl or Grundy County Auction.
Sold. John Michael Montgomery.
Yeah, sold. And the reason why is because, both of those songs, when they came out, when I heard them, I thought, man, that sounds like something weird, especially Don't Take the Girl. In fact, our lighting guy, our LD got on the bus and goes, so when was y'all going to tell anybody about the new single?
Oh, wow.
And what are you talking about, new single? Said this Don't Take the Girl thing. I said, man, that's Tim McGraw.
Oh, he thought it was you?
He thought it was us. Yeah, he did. So anyway, that was cool. But we eventually went on to do a tune from the same writer that wrote "Sold," and we put it on a record. But I love the cadence of what the Grundy County Auction did. And man, I thought John Michael Montgomery killed it.
Sure did. Here it is on Honky Tonkin. Hanging out with Shenandoah this week. And you guys, Muscle Shoals boys. What's the difference in the music scene Muscle Shoals compared to Nashville?
It's a lot more laid back for sure.
Yeah. A lot of the guys that come in, the session players, a lot of those guys that come in, they know that they're going to be there for a couple of days. They when they're brought in, they're given hotel rooms and that kind of stuff. So they know that they're going to be in the studio that day, and then they're going to spend the night that night
At the casino.
Yeah, and they don't really do. In
Well, we
Nashville,
don't have any casinos, but I'm not saying there's not gambling.
There's no casinos.
in
Let's gamble
Nashville,
on this one.
in Nashville, they'll do I forget what they are, but like 12 to 3 and 3 to 6, and 3-hour blocks. Down in Muscle Shows, you just record till you get it.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
To hook
difference.
the song, so it doesn't matter. Like Marty said, they're there for for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, depending on if they're cutting a whole album or not. But yeah, they just they don't look at 12 to 3 and 3 to 6.
I
and
would
6 to
love to
9.
go on the Fame tour because I know they do tours
It's
at the
worth
studio.
seeing.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
That's where we. That's where we
some
record.
some days, the tunes go fast, and then some days the tune. But the one thing that I have found, well, we've all found, but the one thing that I would say, the tunes that seemed like they were the toughest or the hardest to get were the ones that seemed to mean the most. They just, man, they're the ones that really say something to people.
You got out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, I think so. And the players, no. Hold on. Whoa. Run that back. Man, give it to me again. Let me play that again. Let me play it again. And you're thinking, man, if you can play that better than that, and before it's all over with, man, they come up with, and all of a sudden they'll come up with a lick and go, man, that is pristine. Nothing could have fit that any better, and that's the way it is. But it's literally the laid back mentality that you've got, when we cut there. And then when we finally signed with 8-Track Entertainment, and so therefore we started cutting our records again. See, we started out at Fame, and now we're recording at Fame again.
Full circle.
Yeah, it's literally a full circle. And then to record, because the first records we cut was like that.
Yeah.
And now recording like that again, and then working with Noah Gordon as well too. Look, Noah just wants it right. If he's got to do 3 days, if you got to stay, hey, can you guys stay another day for me? Unless somebody's busy, that they would probably stay.
So
the
you
other
feel like
day.
you're less on the clock than if you were recording in Nashville.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like, so. In other words, okay, we're gonna take a lunch. Man, we already got. Man, we got 3 tracks. What do y'all say about an hour and a half for lunch? Man, I can go pay my power bill in an hour and a half and still go eat. Because of course we live there.
Yeah.
So we're right there at the house. Hey, sweetie, I'll be home in a little bit. I'll come by the house. If you need anything, let me know, and I'll run it by to you, and then I got to go back. So it's one of those kind of things.
This week's guests, Shenandoah in the studio, Marty and Mike joining us. The Moon Over Georgia, is that based on a real rich guy in Georgia?
I doubt it. That was written by a staff writer that wrote with us down in most of the shows at Fame there, named Martin Armour. And a matter of fact, funny thing is, when he wrote the song, he wrote it by himself, and he asked Marty if he'd sing the demo, the songwriter demo. So Marty went in and sung the songwriter demo for him, and actually it had another line in the chorus, didn't it, Marty?
It did.
That they ended up taking out. And Marty's the one that went to Rick Hall and said, "Hey, Rick, man, there's a song I just did the demo on it. One of your writers wrote here, and I think it should be on our next album." So he played it, and they decided to take that one line out, and it ended up being one of our big hits.
I'm so glad that you did the demo, and I'm so glad that we have this. All right, we need
Isn't
the
that the
backstory.
Beatles? How
Son,
in the
the
world?
hillbillies have come to town, son.
That's the Hill Beatles.
Capitol was doing a project, and they were paying tribute to the Beatles, and they asked us if we would pick a tune to. See, when I was growing up, and when Mike was growing up, I'll let Mike speak for himself. But now my sister was in the Beatles. She loved them, But see, that literally was a little bit before my time. Mm-hmm. And of course, her being a girl and being crazy about Paul and John and them,
Right.
That didn't mean much to me. During that time, we were more into me and my brothers were more into Hank Lachlan, Charlie Pride, and Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. That's what we were into. But so therefore, we had to pick a tune, and Jim, being up on the Beatles thing, I asked Jim. I said, "Man, what do you think we should do?" He said, "Man, let's do Can't Buy Me Love." He said, "You've heard that?" And I said, "Yeah, I've heard it." He said, "Man, learn the lyrics on that, and let's do that one."
That was a good pick. It was a really good fit for you guys.
And so anyway, so that's literally the one that we did. And then, of course, some of the slang, some of the Southern slang that that was slung on it, it
Made it your own.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure every Brit in northern England probably turned over when they heard it, but I know it was a lot of fun doing it, and it was really kind of a pretty cool thing to do because, for one thing, never dreaming that you'd ever get a chance to even do something like that, and especially the Beatles. And I mean, now since then. And not that I didn't then, but since then, have really grown to appreciate, what they had done. Those guys were only together 6 years, and for them to impact the world the way that they did it.
And the way they're still doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd give
right.
anything in the world to, yeah.
Did y'all see the Get Back documentary?
The documentary? No, I haven't.
Man,
And
I'm telling you what,
it's on my list. I have it
incredible.
saved.
I'd start it this weekend if I was you. It's incredible.
Shenandoah in the studio with us as our guest this week. Well, in 1990, you guys had a song that I would say probably, is it your biggest song, would you
Chart-wise,
say?
I mean, it was a 3 week at number one song.
Yep.
So as far as that goes, it was our biggest.
Number one in the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how about that, eh?
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah, crazy.
Next to You, Next to Me is a song, and yeah, it's a song that spent, like you said, 3 weeks on the charts, and you guys are still singing it, and it also got you an ACM win as well.
Yeah, it did. In fact, we opened the show with that.
Oh, the
entire show.
ACM Awards?
Yeah. No, I mean, we open our shows with Next to You, Next to Me. And I mean, it's one of those tunes right off the bat. Because, see, we do a high-energy show. I mean, we really do. Now, of course, we do a lot of the ballads, the Love Like That, the Moon Over Georges and stuff like that. But we really like getting people involved. And man, at the end of the evening, 90 minutes or 2 hours, however long we do that evening, at the end of the evening, if folks have sang along and hoot and hollered and all that other kind of stuff, then at the end of the evening, they'll realize that they were a part of a show instead of just sitting and witnessing one.
That's important.
And that's very important to us because it's kind of look, they throw it back at us and we just keep on throwing it to them.
Yes.
And so therefore, when you get them involved in stuff, people are. I mean, man, they'll come up to the edge of the stage and that Like they'll motion.
They're
Give
almost
me that
on
mic.
the stage,
Man,
like
give
they
me that mic
wanna sing.
down here. Because we'll in certain songs like 2 Dozen Roses or Church on Cumberland Road or Moon Over Georgia. A lot of the stuff that we do, the crowd's singing right along with it, and then sometimes you get some pretty bold people. To go, give me that mic.
Oh, wow.
Give me the mic. Let me sing.
I love that you guys
So
start
I
your
do.
shows.
There's some people. I just have it, Buster.
You
know,
let
and
people
that's-
sing it.
That song was written by Curtis Wright and Robert Ellis Sorrell. And Curtis and I used to write songs a lot. And he told me that they were together watching a football game, and it was halftime during a football game, and they wrote that song during halftime
What?
on an NFL football game.
Wow. And here we go. Next to you, next to me.
Shenandoah in the studio with us, and not only we are big fans, but also so many artists love you guys, including this little guy named Luke Combs, who did this song with you guys.
To lose something that you can't have again.
You know, we started getting video clips of him doing this song during his shows. I mean, he was just playing in football stadiums, and it seemed like every other day somebody's sending us a video clip of him doing 2 Dozen Roses in the show.
Yeah.
And we ran into him somewhere. Marty did up here in Nashville.
It's a CMA.
Yeah,
It was a CMA show.
you can tell them the story.
Award
You talked
show.
to
And
him.
anyway, so he was, and I had no idea what they were fixing to call out. I mean, I did not. Anyway, I'd been listening to what he'd been doing, and I got thinking, man, this cat, man, he's on it now.
He's all right.
Yeah.
And then so all of a sudden, I told him, I said, bro, you better turn your hat around backwards. And he said, what? I said, you need to turn your hat around backwards, son. Here in just a little bit, they ain't going to know whether you going or coming. It's fixing to happen for you really fast. And the next award they gave away was Male Vocalist of the Year, and it was him.
All right.
And then, of course, he kind of captured the evening, and it really kind of been that way. And since then, we'd text back and forth, and I had this young lady that was going through a very, very bad health thing that unfortunately had eventually had taken her life. And I text Luke and said, look, man, she is a big, big fan of yours. Man, is there any way in the world you could do just a little old voice thing? Man, look, just wherever you're at, it just, and just say howdy to her and stuff. And man, I guarantee it wasn't 5 minutes. He sent one back. I put her name down and everything, had her name right, everything. And then I sent it on, and man, what a precious thing to do,
Yeah, big heart.
And I thought, you know what, man, this old boy his heart's as big as everything about him. I mean, he's a good cat, man, and man, I love being in the studio with him. He's very jovial. He really is in a serious way.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta catch it, but it's there.
Yeah, it's like a football
He's real
player
witty.
or a baseball player. It's game time. You're going to still joke and everything, but it's time to do some work.
Yeah, and he sure did too. I mean, he forevermore. He did it. Now he was the chief cook and bottle washer that day.
Shenandoah in the studio with us, a song. You guys have all these number ones, and one that, of course, as you can imagine, is his favorite, If Bubba Can Dance.
You know what the bad thing is, though, is when this song came out, everybody wanted me to dance. And I'm like,
That's right, yeah.
well, there were two things they wanted me to do. They wanted me to dance and shoot a jukebox. I'm like, no.
Me and Marty's writers on this song.
Oh,
I don't know if
are
y'all knew
you?
that. Me and Marty and Bob McDill wrote this song. We were down on Music Row. What was the name of that place? Where he wrote at?
He wrote at Welk.
At
That's
Welk.
where
So
he
we
was
were at
writing at the
Welk,
time.
and we'd been there all afternoon trying to write something with him, and really just drew a blank all day long. And so we had to catch the bus that afternoon, like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, going somewhere. And we told Bob, said, man, we're going to have to pack it up and go, Bob. We got to be at the bus. And it was like an hour and a half. And so we had our guitars in the cases. And he said, hey, before we go, I want to ask you guys a question. He said, I've been seeing all these on the Nashville Network and CMT. They've got all these dance shows where people are doing all these line dances. And he said, you guys came out of them bars down in Muscle Shoals. He said, are people really doing that, or are they just doing that for these TV shows? And I remember telling us, well, I don't know how they do it everywhere else. I said, but in Muscle Shoals, I can distinctly remember these two guys. And the girls would literally stand on the side of the stage waiting on the song to be over so they could come running out trying to get these two guys to dance with them because they knew how to do all the twirls and all that stuff with the girls. And so they were very popular, as dancers with those girls down there. And Bob said, well, that's pretty interesting. So he said, well, I got to run to the restroom before we go. So he goes to the restroom and comes back and says, hey, man, I think I got a title for what you was just saying about those two guys. He said, we can make this character be one guy. The title would be If Bubba Can Dance, I Can Too. And we looked at the clock and we were like, we got 45 minutes. So we pulled our guitars back out and wrote the first verse and chorus of If Bubba Can Dance, I Can Too. And Bob wrote the last verse while we were gone, where we were going that week.
Shenandoah join us in the studio. Do you guys remember those 1-800 prepaid cards?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Do you guys remember? So there was a thing, I swear, where it was a message from you guys, maybe?
It was.
What was that?
I don't know, but it was for Vicinity of the Heart. Is what it was, and
was it like a promotion? It's like, hey, Shenandoah, make sure you listen.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
It was just strictly a promotion thing that at the time RCA had done.
Because you would get a phone call. Like there was a thing you set up for, and it would call, and you pick up, and she would go, "Hey guys, it's Shenandoah, and here's the song." And I was just like, I remember them thinking, that's the coolest thing ever.
That's funny you even remember that.
I remember parts of it. It's kind of like you guys, knuckleheads.
Yeah, really.
Shenandoah joining us, Marty and Mike as well. So Mike, earlier Marty had his Dealer's Choice song. It's a song of that he wanted to request. What song do you want?
Well, if I was going to pick a song that I wish we'd have done, it would be One More Day by Diamond Rio. I just think that song is incredible, and it was written by two Muscle Shoals guys. One used to be my roommate in Muscle Shoals when we first were getting started, Bobby Tomberlin. And
are you trying to tell us this should have been a Shenandoah song?
I think it would have been a Shenandoah song.
He and Mike don't speak no more.
No, we do too. We still write songs together. And the other guy was Stephen Dale Jones, and he and I went to high school together. We've known each other since we were
How in the world did this song get out of the...
Well, Marty had left the band. He was gone for 17 years, and it was recorded by Diamond Rio during that time. If we had kept doing it, we probably would.
So let's blame Marty.
It's Marty's fault.
It's Marty's fault. Well, here you go. Here is your song. It was more Shenandoah coming up on Honky Tonkin. Shenandoah in the studio with us, Marty Raybon, Mike McGuire as well, and everyone talked about how you guys have your sound is it's a mix. It's country, bluegrass, and I would say gospel.
Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of that, yeah.
Have you ever done a full-on gospel?
We have.
Album. Okay, I haven't heard that.
We did.
Like hymns or what kind of gospel?
No, we wrote most of them.
It was fresh stuff, and of course, a lot of different writers. Tim Menzie came in and worked with us, writing some.
Jerry Salley came down.
We had a whole studio full of fellows that came in from Nashville, and we just went to different rooms of the studio and sit down and wrote.
Do you feel that that religious music is kind of a cousin to bluegrass? I guess maybe like Southern gospel kind of a sound.
Yeah, I do, and the reason being is because it's just like the old bluegrass stuff and the old hymn stuff that come from them old Negro spiritual songs, that literally would tell a story, and nowadays it's been gussied up, and now they call it praise and worship. But
it's still Southern gospel, but it's been gussied up. It's now praise and worship.
Well, what I mean by that is now you don't hear as much of the old rugged cross and that kind of stuff as much as you do.
But it's nice when you do. It's so weird when you hear those comfort songs come on. You're like, yeah, we're in the garden.
Nostalgic.
That's right.
Man, I tell you what's really, really incredible is when you do, and you hear somebody maybe in the pew over or the pew behind you go, man, that is what a beautiful, beautiful lyric. Man, what a wonderful story in that song. Get thinking, man, that song is older than me and you combined.
That's right.
We still do Beulah Land from time to time on our show. We did it the other night in Kentucky.
We did.
Marty sings it by himself, just him and an acoustic guitar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, awesome. He sings it great.
Probably I think that and great is thy faithfulness and Rock of Ages to me are some of the most heart-wrenching songs that for me that do it for me. And I think while we're on it, the Bible says, "So a man thinketh, so is he," and out of the abundance of a man's heart, the mouth will speak. And I think that not only speaking something, but also if that's what you do and that's where your heart is when you're singing, I think every bit of the soul or the soul that's within it, I think it comes out, and a lot of times you find out that's where it lays in the lines.
Shenandoah, our guest this week. So we're going to play this for you. Back in 2001.
Well, just about a mile on a 109, there's a little church hidden back in the pines. I promised that girl she was gonna be mine. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if she was standing there crying. Oh, oh. Well, I didn't know that Florida folk could go so slow. Oh,
These were some newcomers.
well, you gotta put your foot down on that floor.
Yeah, 2001 CMT special, Roscoe Flats.
Man, if they could just sing, huh?
If they could just sing. This is the first song that they performed live.
They told us that.
before they were Roscoe Flats.
That
Is
was
that the
actually
actual recording?
No, that was a recording they did here in the studio
Oh,
for
okay,
us. They
gotcha.
came to visit us, and they're like, "Hey, we're a new band. We're
wow.
going to play some songs
And
for
they
you."
did y'all song.
Yeah, they told us that the first song they ever sang together was that song.
Yeah. Here it is. Shenandoah is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. It's an honor to have the boys in the studio. Shenandoah is our guest this week.
Can't believe we're getting so close to the end of the show.
Yeah, I know. You guys ever? Is there a song that you didn't cut and you wish you would have? Someone else got it.
Well, Marty mentioned earlier, too, of a guy working on a full house.
Besides,
So close to that one.
Besides the
And a
gigantic one.
swing and a whiff.
It was just a little song. Is there
No,
another one?
he really wanted to do that song. The rest of us thought it was too country for what we were doing at the time. But
I tell you, man, I loved the Sammy Kershaw thing. You are the love of my life.
oh yeah, man, what a
yeah.
great song that was. Yeah.
Man, I thought, man, oh man, what an absolutely beautiful,
Yeah, man.
beautiful song, and that one. But there's been a few that man just really, I don't know, want to listen to them. Just when you hear them, you just, man, you think, man, goodness sakes alive, that's such a great song, and man, it just says everything in the world you want it to say to your wife and everything, and you are the love of my life, and Keith Stegall had written that song, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings if you sent a sack more of songs like that over. We'd probably do a sack load of them if he'd send them.
Shenandoah in the studio with us this week. So, is there a backstory on ghosts in this house? It's one of my favorites of y'all's.
I don't know.
The only thing that I can remember, we had left, and this is back when they still had bag phones.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we'd left. We were in a listening meeting, and the mail had come. From the time we were up there listening, we'd broke up, and everybody started going their different ways, and we'd listen to all the tunes that they wanted to play us that day. And Linda Hall had called me, Rick Hall's wife, and said, Marty said, can you come back down? Where are you at? And I said, well, I'm almost to the house. She said, can you? Rick and Robert really want you to come back up here. You need to come up here. I said, okay. Said, well, in the mail, we got a tune. They think that you really need to listen to this. I said, okay, well, I'll turn around. So I did, and that's what it was. It was Ghost in This House, and
Hugh Presswood song.
yeah, you
They loved it so much that you guys were done for the day, and they called you back and said, You've got to come back and hear this now. Couldn't wait till tomorrow. Now.
No. And so I did. And Rick said, well, Marty, you know, an idiot would turn this down. I said, Rick, who in the world would be an idiot?
Right.
I said, man, this is great. And Rod, you know, of course, you'd have to know Robert Byrne. You know, he'd act like he was on amphetamines. You know, he'd get excited about something. He'd go scratching his head. You know, he'd chew on them little old white tip cigars and stuff. You know, I'm telling you right now, man, we cut a great record on that. That's a hit. And I said, man, I'm telling you what's a fact. That whether it's a hit or not, that is a great record. And yeah, y'all could probably cut a great record on it. And, man, we did. And before it was all over with, that literally has become one of our – well, it got us a Grammy nod and probably one of the songs in the staple of the show that we do. That you know, and if we get toward the end of the show and we ain't done it, man, people get to yelling it out.
Yeah, and Hugh
they want to hear it.
Hugh passed away late last year sometime, and his daughter actually came to one of our shows in Texas. Not too long after that, she came on the bus with her husband, got to visit with us for a little while, so that was real special to us too.
It has been such a pleasure and an honor to have the guys, Shenandoah, Marty, Mike. Thank you all so much. Touring, you guys are out on the roads, hitting it.
Wearing it out. We're wearing it out.
If you want to get information on tours, you can just go to shenandoahband.com. I know you guys love doing your Instagram posts and all your TikTok videos. I would love to see you guys doing that. You can check it out again at shenandoahband.com. Thank you, boys. Thank you.
Hey, thank y'all for having me.
Honky Tonkin on the radio with Big D and Bubba.